In the heart of the California desert lies a mysterious and controversial treatment center known as the Poppy Fields. Unlike any other, this facility offers patients the chance to erase the agony of grief by sleeping through it literally. Patients are placed into medically induced comas for several weeks, awakening with their pain dulled or even gone, and the cost is steep. About 1 in 4 who undergo the treatment wake up changed, no longer capable of accessing the deep emotions that once bound them to the people they lost. Love fades along with the grief. The story begins at a storm-struck airport in Kansas City, where 4 strangers and a small dog cross paths. Ava, a Kansas-based illustrator, is en route to the poppy fields, but not as a patient. She's searching for her estranged sister Ellis, the enigmatic scientist who created the center and has since disappeared from Ava's life. Ray, a firefighter, carries the raw guilt of his brother Johnny's death. Johnny had undergone the treatment, and Ray is desperate to understand what really happened. Sasha, a therapist from Boston, is broken by the sudden death of her just days before their wedding. She seeks relief, wanting to silence the endless loop of guilt and heartbreak. Then there's Sky, a teenage girl who hitchhikes her way into their journey, drawn by an undefined sense of loss and the fear that she may never fully live again. When the storm grounds all flights, the group decides to rent a car and drive across the country. What starts as a logistical solution quickly becomes a road trip of self-discovery. As the miles stretch ahead of them, walls begin to crumble. Ava reveals the true nature of her mission: to confront her sister and demand answers. Ray opens up about the burden he carries over Johnny's death and his inner battle between anger, love, and regret. Sasha, tense and emotionally closed off, gradually allows herself to speak of Dean and the haunting, the question of whether she might have played a role in his death. Sky, despite being the youngest, becomes a grounding force in the group, her youthful honesty and curiosity reminding them of the life still ahead. The bond between them deepens, each mile strengthening their connection. By the time they reach the remote desert facility, they're no longer just strangers, they are a chosen family, united by shared grief, unresolved trauma, and the hope of finding peace. At the poppy fields, the facade of healing is both beautiful and unsettling. Patients wear red pajamas and lie in sleek beds, monitored by technology that tracks their vitals. The staff refers to them as the poppies, asleep in rows like a surreal field of human flowers. Ellis, Ava's sister, and the visionary behind it all, finally reappears. But she is not the person Ava remembers. Detached, emotionally hollow, Ellis reveals she once underwent her own treatment and lost something crucial in the process: her ability to feel connected to those she once loved. As Ava confronts her, she realizes that the poppy fields is more than a scientific endeavor at Ellis. Monument to her own grief, a place where she tried to conquer pain, but ended up isolating herself even more. Meanwhile, Ray digs into Johnny's file and learns the details of his brother's treatment and last days. The weight of the truth forces him to reconsider everything he believed about love, loss, and forgiveness. Sasha meets other patients on the brink of sleep and begins to question her decision. Among them is Donna, a local woman who chose not to sleep and instead built a life around honoring her grief. Sasha realizes that erasing pain might also erase the depth of love that once gave her life meaning. She decides not to undergo the treatment, choosing instead to face her sorrow and rebuild her identity through memory, reflection, and the slow work of healing. Sky, always observing, brings a quiet wisdom to the group. She challenges their assumptions about what it means to truly live. Her presence becomes a reminder that feeling pain is evidence of love, that fear is part of being human, and that running away from it numbs not only sadness, but joy. As the story builds toward its final reckoning, each character is faced with a decision. Ava and Ellis have an emotional breakthrough, rediscovering their bond and beginning the long path to reconciliation. Sasha walks away from the center with Sky, both of them choosing life in all its messy, beautiful imperfection. Ray, torn between the desire for relief and the fear of losing what remains of his connection to Johnny, ultimately chooses to sleep. But when he awakens, the outcome is uncertain. Has he lost his ability to love his brother, or has he simply learned to carry the memory differently? The novel ends on a note of quiet ambiguity and deep reflection. The poppy fields is not just a place, it's a symbol. Okay, a question, a challenge. Would you trade your grief if it meant giving up part of your love? Is emotional pain something to be healed or honored? Nikki Erlick's The Poppy Fields dives deep into the human heart, exploring the paradox of grief and love. Through a powerful mix of narrative voices, journal entries, and personal confessions, the novel examines the costs of avoiding sorrow and the courage required to embrace it. It is a meditation on memory, the ethics of science, and the essential truth that grief is not a flaw in love, it's a mirror of it. Ultimately, The Poppy Fields leaves us with one profound message. To feel pain is not weakness. It's evidence that we have lived, that we have loved, and that we are still here. Choosing to feel, choosing to remember, and choosing to continue.